Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and this is an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. What's going on with me? Let's start off with, I've been talking for months about the fact I'm going to figure out how to get my weekly comic book order sent to me so I get it on the week that I get it, right? Even went so far as I weighed every single comic, did some more math, knew exactly how many books, as long as I was 15 or less books. Woo! It's under 3 pounds. It's going to get sent to me priority mail as opposed to FedEx. The first week that this happens, where I'm not getting bags, I'm not getting boards, I'm just getting the comics, so I can, so I cut down the weight so I can get them shipped to me in time. Of course, first week of comics, that's this week. I'm getting like 22 comics. That's over 3 pounds. It's coming FedEx. I don't know. I can't win. I can't win on that. We'll see. I've never really bothered to look to see what, I want to read the comics I want to read, right? I've never bothered to actually look to see, okay, what weeks do they come on? I've got a monthly, because for the longest time I bought more monthly than I did weekly. I have a monthly comic budget. This is what I kind of want to land within this area as far as money goes. So I never really broke it down. I mean, I know about how many titles I get in a month, and if I split that up amongst 4 weeks, it averages out to about 15 books a week. So I thought, well, great, this will work doing it this way. I didn't actually bother to actually go and see, okay, this week of the month, first week of the month, how many books do I get? How many books do I get? So we'll see. Obviously, this month's going to ride out the way it is. We'll see how the bagging and the no bags, no boards thing goes, and the weekly shipping. If I got 1 week that the stuff doesn't come the week of, and the other weeks everything comes, priority mail, so I get my comics on Friday as opposed to the Tuesday after Comic Book Wednesday. I'll stick with the weekly orders. If it doesn't, I'm gonna go back to buy monthly. Of course, that puts me behind on current books from everybody else, but that doesn't seem to be the end of the world. Just means I have to ignore your guys' reviews and conversations about the books a little bit more, unless I don't care whether things get spoiled or not, while I wait to get my books and read my books, and then of course my reviews will continue to be farther behind than what they are now. I'm usually about a week behind the books that I talk about. It doesn't seem to matter a whole lot to people, but yeah, if it does, it does. But yeah, there's that. So, the weight, the thing. So, I'll segue from that whole weight to September. Coming up in September, of course, most of you guys know I'm a relatively big DC collector, collect a lot of DC books. Of course, in September, DC has announced they're having their villain month. Awesome, sounded cool, yay. Then they go 3D covers. Ooh, they look kind of cool. I kind of get excited about that. Wow, that's kind of cool. And then I started thinking about, wait a second. It's $1 more. Sleepy Reader 666, I think, did the math on it. You're paying $1 more for each book that you probably normally paid. If you get, I get a little under half of the New 52. Well, no, not even that much, I don't think. I get about 20 books. Get about 20 DC books, 20 to 22 DC books. That's an extra $22. That kind of sucks. Then I started thinking about the weight of this hard plastic 3D cover, right? That entire month I won't get my books on time because of the weight, I guess. I don't know. I'm further disturbed because how they have the books labeled, they're going to be like, issue 24. So it's going to be issue 24.1 is going to be the villain book, right? Batman. Batman, issue 24.1, the Joker, right? But the Batman title alone, which I know a lot of us collect, a lot of us get the Batman title. The Batman title alone, my understanding has 4 books. So it's Batman issue 24.1, .2, .3, .4. So if you're really wanting to collect the whole series and you're concerned about having a full run of the comic, you're almost stuck buying that. I know you're not. Don't always put a gun to your head and say you have to buy it. But if you want the full collection and to have a full run, and lots of people do, it's part of the collecting. I don't know. In the case of the Batman, I'm sure I'll end up picking up the one that's written by Scott Snyder, the one that's done by the creators. I'm learning, though, that some of the books aren't even written by the creators. They're written by somebody else. So Batwoman, for instance, isn't going to be written by J.H. Williams III and Blackman. It's being written by somebody else. Whatever. I guess that's fine. So going to be some serious soul searching and pocketbook searching and all that kind of stuff when it comes to those September books. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of pissed about it. I mean, initially was excited by the covers. I wasn't around for the 90s. The 90s, when all that kind of stuff got real crazy, I wasn't collecting comics then. That's about the time I had to take a break in reading comics due to life, as it were. So I missed all that craze. So seeing a little bit might be fun. And some of those covers might be fun to look at and stuff. That's kind of cool. But I don't know. But I just don't know how many of those I'm going to get. I mean, part of me says, screw it, I should just not buy any that month. But of course, that screws the collection. If you're winning the collection, and whereas if I decide I'm not getting something that's cool, I won't get it, whatever. But I hate just missing one issue. Even if it's a bad issue, I hate missing one issue. If I have an entire run of something and I'm missing one issue, it bugs me. It's like if I know a comic that I really wish was better than it was, I hear it's going to be canceled, instead of just quitting it right then, I usually get the rest of it so I can just have the whole run. I don't know why. I just feel the need to have the full series of it. I mean, I'm not that way about going back and buying old books or anything, but it's something I'm currently collecting. Some of the comics I'm collecting right now that DC puts out, we know they're ending in the next couple issues. I could have just went, screw it. I'm not, why bother to get the rest of them when I know it's canceled. But, I like to complete it, finish out, see what the last thing they have to say about the characters and stuff. So, I don't know. It's pretty tough. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, and speaking of DC also, and it's not just DC in this case. I don't know if you've seen this article floating around. Paul Jenkins has decided he is not going to work for Marvel or DC anymore. His last work, I believe, was with the big two, was with DC. He has an article talking about, he wrote an open letter about why he's not doing that, what their thoughts are, what the thoughts are. And then there's another article out on Bleeding Cool. I haven't completely read all of it yet. Basically, calling the editors bullies in one sense or another. Really unfortunate stuff all around. Horrible that the guy's been treated that way, or feels he's been treated that way, whether he has or not. Because all we've got is one side of a story. It'd be interesting to hear the editor's side of the story as to why things are the way they are and stuff. And of course we can all go, oh, there's another example of, shitty DC editorial. Well, it's not just DC editorial, it's editors in general, and I don't think all editors are bad. It's like any other thing, any other entity, any other job, any other whatever. The bad eggs, the bad apples always get most of the attention and whatnot, right? If those places were so horrific to work for, why would these top talented people be working there? They'd go find something else to do, especially in this day and age where it seems more and more like independent, creator-owned, whatever. Those comics are becoming more and more successful. Now, whether you can make a living on just them, I don't know. How that all works. I don't know how people get paid and whatnot. But you just wouldn't think that in this day and age, where there's so many other avenues of comics out there, that people would put up with the bullshit if it was always that bad. Not to say that it's not bad. I'm guarantee you there are bad editors out there. I work in a business where there is a long chain of people who are in charge at different levels and stuff. Lots of people at the same level as me, people below me, people above me in the managerial chain of things and whatnot. And in my years of working for the company that I've been working for, I've had plenty of asshole bosses. They'd be my editor basically, and whatever. But I've also had some really great ones. I know there are some great editors out there who aren't assholes, who aren't horrible, who aren't all that stuff. And there are some bad ones, obviously. It's unfortunate that at the top of these giant chains of hierarchy, that somebody up there isn't making sure that the people under them are operating in a professional and wholesome manner. It's unfortunate that that doesn't happen, and I'm not sure exactly who to lay blame on. Is it Dan Didio? Is it Bob Harris? You know, I'm just talking DC because those are people I can name off the top of my head reasonably well. But I know Marvel's got them too. There's no way they don't. Every company does. You know, I mean, from me as a reader, my belief is that editors should be helping inspire the creators to make the best book for me to read. That's how I see it. But I also know from a corporation, from a money-making end, those editors have multiple responsibilities. They have, you know, in the case of the big two, they have a responsibility to the franchise and to the character that's owned by a company, to make sure that things don't go wrong with that character, or the character is used in a way that the company would deem inappropriate for them. You know, that's a thing that they have to take into consideration. Plus the fact they have to make X amount of money. And they're tasked by people above them, head editors and stuff, to make sure that they're moving stories in the direction that they believe is going to have that happen. You know, and so obviously sometimes that's going to be, when you're talking about creative people who have their own ideas about what they think is interesting, what's creative and what should be, and all that stuff, you're going to have conflicts. I don't see how you can't. I'm sure there are occasions where editors and the creators are all on the same page and everything's harmonious and beautiful. But I'm sure there's some level of, you know, in there at times. But there should be a way to communicate that. Part of being the editor, I would think, huge part of being an editor, is being able to successfully communicate to your employees what you need from them, and how to make that successful. But I know there are great editors out there. I follow some of them on Twitter, and they are like the nicest people, and I've never ever heard anybody say anything crappy about those editors or ex-editors. You know, so it sucks. It does. It makes me almost wish there was an internet when we start hearing some of those stories and stuff. I mean, they need to be told. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be told and whatnot. And I think it's awesome that some of these guys are in a position to where they obviously have figured out a way to make themselves successful and make a living, and be able to feel safe enough to have those conversations and say how they've been treated and stuff. So I do think it's unfortunate we can't hear the other side of it. Not that I'm defending the people bullying that creator. I'm not. I would just love to hear the editor side of the story too, because I don't think most of us really have a really good understanding of what the editor's supposed to do. I mean, I have some concepts. I have friends who have been editors and have dealt with editors, so I have some concept. But you know, I don't know. I'm not there at DC. I'm not there at Marvel to try and make those decisions as to, you know, what they're actually after and whatnot. But I'm sure everybody involved wants a really successful comic book. You know, a good successful comic book. Who wouldn't? I mean. But, so it's tough stuff. That's tough stuff. What else is going on? Any happy note things besides my frustration over the September issues and, you know, the editor baloney and whatnot? There's some exciting books coming up. I'm drawing a blank on the names of them right now because I sat down to this thing somewhat ill prepared, but I wanted to get it out on a Wednesday night / Thursday morning as opposed to it being the end of the week. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Go read some good books. Make some videos. Let me know what those good books are. Oh, you know, what the few guys talking about, hey, you know, maybe I'll do a podcast and that thing. Not sure yet. I've been approached by some other people about doing a podcast. I'm going to do that podcast with them. It's kind of what I was thinking about doing anyway. You know, some of you may watch enough videos to put the pieces together as to who I'll be hanging out with and stuff. Excited for that. Excited to get back into doing some of those things. I may still do one. I'm now teasing the idea of maybe a Saturday night, a late Saturday night, because I don't think anybody else is really doing anything on Saturday nights. For those that can come and hang out with me on Saturday nights, awesome. Those that can't, suck. Maybe we can get you in someplace else or whatnot. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just stick with the other one that I'm going to be involved in. I think I'm going to be involved enough in it that it's going to satisfy my needs for the hangout format kind of a thing. Doesn't mean that I still might not toy with the idea of doing one of my own periodically. So I'll be happy to announce what that is when it gets officially rolling along, and would love for you to all follow me there. It won't be on my channel, it'll be on another channel, but I don't think very many of you care. Those that respond, I think, watch pretty much most of the same channels that I do, and I believe you guys would participate in wherever I was at. I hope you do. I hope you come along with me on that adventure. Like I said, I'll talk about it when it actually starts to happen, and if it doesn't happen reasonably soon, I've gotten enough positive response from everybody. In fact, nobody had the balls, I guess, to say, don't you dare do a hangout. I'm not interested at all, or if you do it, I'm not going to watch it because that doesn't interest me. And I had people private message me and say, hey, I'd love to do one with you, and that excites me, so I may still do one, so I can hang out with those people that have said that they're excited to do one with me. That'll be cool. Or maybe we can incorporate you into the other thing we got going on. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. Big things, though, as far as that. I'm excited for that to all start happening. I haven't gotten official word as to when it would start happening. Otherwise, I'd be less obtuse about how I'm talking about this, even though I'm sure most of you are going to put the pieces together, like I said. But yeah, I'm excited to get going on that, and I think I'm starting to really ramble now and stuff. So I'm going to go, and I will see you later on in the week, because I've read my comics. I'm actually out of comics. Literally, I have read everything. I do not have I don't believe, a single comic anywhere in my collection that I have not read. Out of comics, and I've got 5 days before I'll get new comics. I may have to drive to the store just to get comics. I don't know. Anyway, catch y'all later on in the week. Bye.